All right, second down. Let's talk some NCAA. So there has been some talks about the Power Five leaving NCAA. Now, do I think this is going to happen? Probably not anytime soon, but I think it should. So the Power Five is essentially the cash cow for the NCAA. They hold all of the, iconic schools that technically make the NCAA all of its money. Those championship schools, the Alabama, all those major conferences. Again, that's why they call them the Power Five. It's Pac-12, Big 12, Big 10, ACC, and the SEC. So these five conferences have, a lot of power, and they could survive without the NCAA. But the NCAA cannot survive without them. So it makes sense as to why the Power Five would want to set, or what the benefits are for the Power Five to separate from the NCAA. But I don't know if they will make that jump. Now, I hope they do, because then they don't have to be under the NCAA ruling, the bylaws, and all that other crap that the NCAA does. The NCAA is just, they're using these kids, again, if nobody's going to say it, I'm going to say it. They're using these kids to get money. And they're not paying the kids what they deserve. Especially, they're using their likeness to get money, to get billions of dollars, and then telling the student athletes, you can't make money off of your likeness. And it's crazy. It's crazy to hear that stuff. I mean, a couple years ago, they kicked a kicker off of, I believe it was Central Florida, for having a YouTube channel and monetizing it. And well, now he's one of the bigger YouTubers on the platform. So, and that's destroying for all of you that don't know that. And I'll link his stuff up here as well. He has some solid videos. A lot of them are the same, but again, he's doing what he could do, especially with the opportunity that was given to him. So, much respect to destroying on that. And then NCAA's recent statement on thinking about allowing student athletes to make money on likeness, again, is a sign of weakness. They're trying to give it. They're trying to give certain things so that the Power Five is like, we'll stay. We'll stay. Since you're doing this, we'll stay. The NCAA is trying to find ways to give just enough to the conferences and to the student athletes to where, hey, again, we're trying our best. So, we're looking into these things. Well, it took them so long because there are other organizations that are stealing the athletes that make them all the money. Now they're saying, oh, well, we'll look into these opportunities to see, okay, well, what can we give you guys? We have your best interest in mind. It's just a weird situation. I'm surprised that it's taken this long for the Power Five to even think about something like this. And then also the Power Five, I don't see it separating anytime soon because of this COVID-19 issue. Again, this is going to affect the schools, like their attendance to the games, as well as the sports programs in general. So they need that governing body to kind of guide them through this. It makes no sense for them to separate now, especially during a pandemic where, everything's up in the air. I guess it makes sense to just have that umbrella and, that organization kind of overlooking things for now. Again, once everything clears up, I think it'd be a perfect time for the Power Five to just put the deuces to the NCAA. I mean, again, they hold, the NCAA doesn't have any power over the Power Five. If the Power Five, if all conferences, agree to one thing and do it, what is the NCAA going to do? Suspend all those conferences? Those are the conferences that have those big TV deals. Those are the conferences that have the big games that people have that go to and watch and pay hard-earned money to go see. There's no way that they're going to be doing this. And then also, the most egregious thing about the NCAA is their selection committee for the college football playoffs. I mean, it makes sense that they have a selection committee, but we need to let's be serious. So you have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You have 7 athletic directors. And let's be honest, there's a conflict of interest when you have athletic directors in the selection committee, because even though their school might not be in the selection process, if their conference, if there's a team in their conference that's in that contention for one of the top 4 spots, you best believe that one of these committee members are going to push their conference up, because the conferences get money when these teams go to these bowl games. So if Texas is not on here, but Oklahoma. Okay, so look, Oklahoma's athletic director is on the selection committee. If Texas was in that general range, like say let's say they ended the season at 5, you best believe Oklahoma's athletic director is going to say, hey, look, Texas should be number 4 for XYZ, knowing that if Texas makes it, the Big 12 is going to get X amount of dollars for Texas making, an additional bowl game at least for the conference. So why not? You can see the conflict of interest here. These selection committee members, they have terms, so they get rotated out. But I think they should do a better job at picking the selection committee, because it's just a little weird as to why some of these people are on here. Again, there's clear conflict of interest here, and it's mind-boggling that no one has called this out yet. Now, going on to NCAA President Mark Emmert says fall sports likely to be canceled if campuses remain closed. I think we all would have assumed that or implied that. But ESPN staff writer Myron Metcalf in his article stated that all the commissioners and every president I've talked to, it is clear agreement. If you do not have students on campus, you don't have student athletes on campus. That's what Emmert said. That doesn't mean the school has to be up and running for the full normal model, but have to treat the health and well-being of the athletes at least as much as the regular students. If a school doesn't reopen, then they are not going to be playing sports. It is really that simple. So basically, if the school is not up and running, no sports for that team. And I believe I read an article. I don't have it here, so I can't really source it. But I believe they were saying that the NCAA is willing to play a season with some teams not being able to play. So, like, for example, if Arizona State reopens but USC does not reopen, they're willing to go into the season with partial, like, split up conferences where not all of the schools in the conference aren't playing, but they're okay with that. It almost seems like they're just trying to get games going so they get more money. You have these TV deals, and obviously to collect those, you need to have games. So, of course, they would have games even if not all schools are able to play. They also stated that the decision could be made in June, and that some schools have already publicly stated that fall semester will continue as normal as of now. Now, a lot of the states in the U.S. are starting to do their phased reopens. Now, we could see a second wave, which could push everything back. Hopefully that's not the case. Or we could see, everything start to come back to normal. Again, I'm thinking more of the former, but, hopefully I'm wrong. It just doesn't seem like a smart idea. We still don't have a vaccine. Testing for a lot of places are still limited. But, reopening, I can see a potential for a second wave. Again, hopefully that's not the case. Also in recruiting news, so Zach Evans, the number 2 running back for this past season, or for 2020, decommitted from UGA and enrolled at TCU. Now, you might be asking why the hell is that the case? But Zach Evans, I'm sure there are some other circumstances behind this. There always are when players, for whatever reason, decide to decommit late and transfer before they even play a game. But Zach Evans decommits from UGA, enrolls at TCU. He's from Texas, so I could kind of see maybe he wanted, the story that he could put out there is he wanted to stay close to home. This kind of reminds me of Jalen Reagor, who was committed to Oklahoma. Jalen Reagor, who just got drafted by the Eagles, he was committed out of high school going to Oklahoma, and late he decided to decommit and go to TCU because he wanted to stay close to home. So if that's the case for Zach Evans, more power to him. He definitely has, that ability and that right to do so. So TCU gets another stud. TCU just, they continue to get guys and put guys in the league quietly. if you look at TCU's ability to take athletes and put them into the NFL, it's very underrated. TCU actually has guys that go to the NFL and do pretty well as of late. So, big ups to TCU and their program. And then lastly, Tualia Tagovailoa, so Tua's brother. I hate to mark him as that. He enters the transfer portal, and I talked to a couple of people about this because I kind of predicted this last month. It was just the quarterback room is too packed at Alabama. Tualia went in as one of the better quarterbacks of that class, the 2019 class, and he went in. His whole family moved from Hawaii to Alabama just for Tua. So Tualia actually went to high school for a few years in Alabama and had committed to Alabama really early. So at least his perception and his family's perception, I believe, was that he was going to be the next guy in line once Tua left. But, as we know, college football, a lot of stuff changes. Coaches could change their mind, at the drop of a hat. Nick Saban must have told Tualia, or maybe he's even getting some type of messaging, behind the scenes, that he is not going to be the guy for next year, which, again, is what I predicted. Bryce Young, one of the best quarterbacks from the 2020 class, he decommitted from USC and went to Alabama. That was kind of the eye-opening move right there, because at that point I kind of knew that Tualia was thin air or thin ice unless he was able to produce, but he didn't have an opportunity to play, and I think him transferring out of Alabama would be a good decision. Or, I would like to see him, compete for that starting job just like JT Daniels, but, Tualia has to make his own decision, and he entered the transfer portal to explore transfer. Now, some of the early lines here for odds, if you guys are bettors on here. So they have Miami as the favorite as plus 200 for him to transfer to Miami. Maryland's right behind that at plus 350. FIU plus 400. FAU 500. Southern Florida plus 700. UCF 900. Oregon, Hawaii, Auburn are all over plus 1,000. So, that would be disrespectful if he went to Auburn. I don't think that's going to happen. So, I think we could cross that one off. It is plus 2,000, but I don't think that's high. I don't think that's 20 to 1. It should be like 50 to 1. I don't think he's going to disrespect Alabama like that, especially his family's basically like royalty over there. So, I don't see him going to Auburn. That would be a bad move as far as just, I don't know. Maybe it might be a good move. That would be kind of an interesting story.